Raider fans, what a night. The Silver and Black pulled off a gritty 20-13 win over the New England Patriots in Week 1, and this game was everything you'd expect from two teams fighting to make a statement. Now, I've got my thoughts ready, but I also want to hear from you. How did you feel watching this one unfold? Because let's be real, this wasn't the cleanest performance, but the result? A road win in Foxborough. And that says a lot. Backhand index pointing right. But hold up, before we dive into the details of this game, let me hit you with something important. If you love getting the latest Raiders updates, take a second to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Trust me, you don't want to miss the breakdowns, the reactions, and all the latest news coming your way. Okay, let's roll back into the action. Back to last night. How would you grade that performance? Was it an A for effort, a B for solid execution, or maybe closer to a C because of the mistakes we saw? Drop your grade in the comments below. Personally, I'd call it a C performance with an A result. Why? Because even though it wasn't perfect, winning on the road with just your C game shows this team has more potential than people think. One thing stood out, the defense. Absolute credit to Patrick Graham and the adjustments made in the second half. They started bringing pressure, they tightened up coverage, and that's what sealed the game. Without those changes, this win doesn't happen. And here's the best part. This team showed resilience. Even when it wasn't pretty, they found a way. And now, all eyes turn to the next matchup, against a division rival that just beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That game? Oh, it's going to tell us a lot. Let's talk about what's next, because Monday Night Football against the Chargers is going to be a battle. I'm expecting the kind of game where both teams are forced to dig deep, buckle up the chin straps, and leave it all on the field. Justin Herbert just outplayed Patrick Mahomes, and that tells you everything. This matchup is going to demand resilience, toughness, and smart football. One thing that really stood out in Week 1 was the adjustments. Midway through the third quarter, the coaching staff recognized the moment. They cranked up the pressure, shifted the momentum, and suddenly the defense looked completely different. That's the mark of a good team. Good teams don't just play, they adapt. Now, credit where it's due. Pete Carroll continues to defy the odds, pulling off another Week 1 win and becoming the oldest head coach in league history to start the season 1-0. Say what you want about age, but his ability to adjust mid-game is a masterclass in leadership. And how about that Dante Thornton catch? 3rd and 20. Quarterback underthrew him, and still, Thornton fought, slid, and hauled it in. That wasn't just a highlight play, that was trust. Trust between quarterback and receiver. Trust between coaches and players. Those are the kinds of moments that turn a group of athletes into a team. But let's be real, not everything was perfect. The offensive line struggled. The run blocking looked shaky at best, and if that doesn't improve, defenses will make this team one-dimensional. You can't live off the passing game forever. The moment the ground game starts to click, though, this offense opens up in ways we haven't even seen yet. The field stretches, the playbook expands, and suddenly opponents are forced to respect every blade of grass. And that's why Monday night against the Chargers is more than just another game. It's a test. A test of adjustments, of grit, of whether this team is ready to stand toe-to-toe with one of the most dangerous offenses in football. I can't wait to see how this team makes improvements moving forward. But let's be honest, some tough conversations need to happen. Coaches have to hold each other accountable, and the message should be clear. Every single person needs to step up. That's the only way this group can maximize its potential. What impressed me most in this game were the adjustments. The second half looked like a completely different story. The defense found answers, the energy shifted, and suddenly the momentum was ours. That's what good teams do. They recognize what's not working and they adapt. But let's not sugarcoat it. The offensive line has to be better. Period. If we're being real, certain players didn't perform up to the standard this team needs. Physicality at the line of scrimmage sets the tone for everything else. Without it, you can't establish the run, and without a run game, the offense becomes one-dimensional. That's dangerous against the top defenses in this league. Now, I'll give credit where it's due. Playing in those weather conditions wasn't easy. Rain, slick field, tough Patriots defense. It was far from ideal. And yet, the Raiders found a way. That says something about resilience. But resilience only takes you so far. If this team can clean up the mistakes in the trenches, combine that with the defensive adjustments we saw, then suddenly we're talking about a squad that can compete with anyone. Man, oh man, what a day. Electric from start to finish. The energy of that game is still buzzing in my head, and honestly, that's the kind of win that reminds you why football matters so much. Now, let's keep it real. The offensive line needs work. There's no way around it. Too many missed assignments. Too many plays that broke down before they even had a chance to develop. If this team wants to take the next step, the foundation has to start up front. But here's the flip side. The rest of the roster showed out. The defense? Locked in. The playmakers? Stepped up when it mattered. And the quarterback? He proved something today. Geno Smith showed composure, confidence, and flashes of exactly the kind of leader this team can rally behind. It wasn't perfect, but it was gutsy, and sometimes that's all you need to change the narrative. What I love most about this performance is that it leaves us with both satisfaction and hunger. Satisfaction, because the win was well-earned. Hunger, because we can see the areas that still need to be sharpened. And that combination, winning while still knowing there's more in the tank, that's what makes a team dangerous. What we saw today were glimpses of what this offense can eventually become. Think about it. We managed to win on the road, even with the run game averaging just 2 yards per carry. That's not just unusual, that's telling. It shows that this team doesn't have to be perfect to pull out a victory. And here's the truth. The Raiders are better than they were last season. You can see it in the leadership, you can feel it in the quarterback play, and most importantly, you can see it in the way adjustments are being made mid-game. That's the difference between a team that flounders and a team that fights. The defense deserves major credit for stepping up when it mattered most. Those second-half adjustments were the reason the Raiders closed this game out. That's what gives me confidence moving into Week 2, because if a team can recognize its flaws and fix them on the fly, it means they're capable of growth. For me, this win felt personal, not because it was the cleanest game, but because it symbolized progress. You can sense the identity forming, a group learning to win together, grinding through adversity, and proving doubters wrong one snap at a time. But now I want to hear from you. What's your biggest takeaway from this game? Was it the grit of the defense? The leadership from the quarterback? Or maybe the fact that this team found a way to win despite the struggles in the trenches? Whatever it is, it's clear the Raiders are taking steps forward, and that's something worth getting excited about. What this game really proved is that this team can adjust, and that's something we haven't always been able to say in past years. I came into this one thinking the secondary might be a liability, but they held up strong. Sure, New England doesn't have the deepest group of receivers, and yes, the rainy conditions may have helped, but credit where it's due. The defensive backs stepped up and played with poise. The real test comes next week. The Chargers just went toe-to-toe with Kansas City, and slowing down Justin Herbert is going to take every bit of discipline and intensity this defense can muster. That's the matchup that tells us how real this progress is. And for the first time in a long while, the Raiders feel like they have a coach who belongs on the big stage. Say what you will about the past, McDaniels, Gruden, or anyone else, but right now, it feels like this staff knows what they're doing. Patrick Graham and Pete Carroll deserve massive credit for the way they put this defense in position to succeed. Of course, the offense had its moments too. 2 plays, in particular, defined the game. That gutsy 4th-and-1 conversion where Geno rolled left and found Michael Mayer, and the 3rd and 20 strike to Dante Thornton. Those aren't just plays, they're statements. They're the kind of moments that stick with a team and build belief. This wasn't just a win, it was a win that showed character. A win that proved adjustments can be made. And maybe most importantly, a win that hinted at something bigger, that this group might just be finding its identity at the perfect time.